We're back today for a review of the Roto Optimum Idle. This is Chase Valenzuela with Balls and Paint Pro Shops here at Enterprise Park Lanes, home of the Greater Ozarks Open. And we're going to take a look today at the Optimum Idle compared to a couple of the symmetrical solids that I have found really usable in the line lately. But first we'll look at it here by itself, just kind of moving around. Slower speed, firmer speed, a little straighter, closer to the track, and then a little softer and across it. Traditionally, I've not been a huge fan of the idles. They haven't been just terrible for me or anything, but they don't go left to right super well. They're pretty slow and rolly, and I've typically had better luck using a phase 2 in the spot of the solid idles. And then there's been some better pearl symmetricals for me than the idle pearl, which I actually did have. The only idle I haven't had is the original magenta one. But I would use something like an Axiom pearl or something that just wants to pick up a little more and hook a little more and a little closer to me over the idle pearl. It was pretty clean and also pretty slow. It's hard for me to get those to hit. So the Optimum Idle with that AI core technology does seem to keep its axis well enough that I can throw it left to right. I've thrown it in league a little bit and had some success. And overall on tougher stuff, I think this is going to be a pretty good complement to my phase 2 that I can kind of use in the same spot depending on what the particular conditions and lane surface call for. I've talked about it a bunch on here in my last few ball reviews that featured this AI core technology, but if you're not familiar, it's essentially dual density. That's something that's been in the industry for a long time, and it's a way that ball companies can make a core more dynamic, so lower RG and or higher differential by changing the density of a part of the core. And in this case, they've brought the RG down a touch and the diff up a touch, as with most of the Storm AI core technology balls. And they also have this unique way that they pick up and rev up pretty quick, but still keep their axis and continue really well. That's a great thing to pair with this idle core, because again, for me, it was a little bit slower response, and it was almost too slow for me to use, because if I needed something that slow, I would use like a big ASIM ball. Typically out of a symmetrical solid ball, I needed something that continued a little better. And out of this, it actually keeps its axis really, really well. First up, we're going to compare to the 900 Global Xponent. The Xponent is the solid symmetrical ball that I've been using sort of in place of the phase 2. It's sort of like a baby phase 2 is what I tell customers. It's early, it's tumbly, it's controllable, it's smooth. It's a little bit weaker package overall than the phase 2, and so to me it's a little more usable somewhere here where there's a little more friction, or just in general on house shots that tend to hook a little bit more. If there's really a puddle or a cliff to get across, or if there is a lot of oil in the front part of the lane, I probably would still prefer something like a phase 2 or this Optimum Idle, but shy of that, the Xponent has been a really good option for most blended house shots with an average amount of volume. Next, we have the IQ Tour Solid, and this IQ Tour Solid is on a little bit stronger pin, and it's pinned down. So these are closer than I expected them to be. The IQ Tour Solid is lower differential, so it changes direction slower, and that's evident here, coupled with the AI core technology featured in the Idle. It really gets going earlier and keeps going more than the IQ Tour Solid does, simply because it's flaring quite a bit more. It's got a lot more core to kind of keep it going, and then that AI core technology again really eliminates what I used to see out of that idle, which was just a little bit of a hook stop or a flattening out and not necessarily splitting the 8-9 correctly. This one really gets through it well, and you can probably see that here throughout the video. Get your Optimum Idle March 22nd at your local Storm VIP Pro Shop, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.